Parse different data types with Python. Parsing means analyzing a message, breaking it into its component parts, and understanding the purpose of each part in context. When messages are transmitted between computers, they travel as a stream of characters. Those characters are effectively a string. A message needs to be parsed into a semantically equivalent data structure containing data of recognized types, integers, floats, strings, and booleans, before the data can be interpreted and acted upon. You will use Python to parse each data format in turn: XML, JSON, and YAML. We will walk through code examples and talk about how each parser works. Required resources: one PC with operating system of your choice, VirtualBox or VMware, the DevNet Associate virtual machine. Launch the DevNet Associate virtual machine. Go to Oracle VM VirtualBox. This is start. Okay, parse XML in Python. Because of the flexibility provided by extensible markup language XML, it can be tricky to parse. XML's all text tag data fields do not map unambiguously to default data types in Python or other popular languages. In addition, it is not always obvious how attribute values should be presented in data. These issues can be sidestepped by Cisco developers working in some contexts, because Cisco has provided tools such as Yang CLI, which validates and consumes XML relevant to data modeling and related tasks. Below is the content of the myfile.xml file found in Labs DevNet source parsing. This is an example of the sort of the file that Yang CLI manages. You will parse this file in Python to get access to the information it contains. Okay, go to this directory here on home directory, labs, devnet source, parsing, and this is the file myfile.xml. You can open this file with Notepad or other, for example, with Visual Studio Code, VS Code. Okay, this is okay, and remember, you will parse this file in Python to get access to the information it contains. Build a script to parse the XML data. Open the parsexml.py file found in lab devnet source parsing directory. Okay, this file parse XML, open with Visual Studio Code. Okay, No content for now. Import the element3 module of the XML library and the regular expression engine. The element3 module will be used to do the parsing. The regular expression engine will be used to search for specific data. Okay, import XML E3 element3 and regular expression. Use the parse function from et element3 to parse the mailfile.xml file and assign it to a variable XML. This module, element3, will be known as et. Okay, and use the element3 module to get the parse function, and this file is the XML file. This XML file, and assign the content to XML variable. Then get the root element with the getRoot function and assign it to a variable root. Now the top level of the tree can be searched for the containing tag edit_config, and when found, that tagged block can be searched for two named values it contains: default operation and test option, and create a regular expression to get the contents of the XML root content in the RPC tag, and then add additional regular expressions to drill down into the content in order to find the value of the edit_config, default operation, and test option elements. Okay, and you can copy this to Notepad. Okay, remove this. Save. It's only a txt file, don't worry. Chromium web browser. Okay, go to downloads. This is the file xml parse123.txt file. Copy this. Enter. Okay, this is the edit config. This is the default operation, and this is the test option. Okay, because the tag block can be searched for two named values it contains. Default operation test option. And finally, print statements to print the value of the default operation and test options elements. Print. Okay, this is the code. Run the script. Okay, first, don't forget save. The name is parsexml.py. Okay, open terminal. Okay, ls to verify, go to labs, cd labs, ls, go to DevNet source, cd, press tab to complete, enter, ls, go to parsing, cd parsing, enter, and ls, and run the script. This script parse XML. Okay, remember you will parse this file, this XML file, call it myfile.xml, and is this. File on 3, this file, parse XML, tab, enter. Okay, the default operation contains merge and the test option contains set. Okay, the default operation tag merge and the test option tag set. And you will search the default operation tag and test option tag. Now, parse JSON in Python. Parsing JavaScript object notation. JSON is a frequent requirement of interacting with REST APIs. The steps are usually as follows. Authenticate using a user password combination to retrieve a token that will expire after a set amount of time. This token is used for authenticating subsequent requests. Execute a GET request to REST API. Authenticating is required to retrieve the state of a resource. Requesting JSON as the output format. Modify the returned JSON is needed. Execute a post or put to same REST API. Again, authenticating is required. To change the state of the resource, Again, requesting JSON as the output format and interpreting it is needed to determine whether the operation was successful. The JSON example to parse is this response from a token request. Okay, this is the access token. This is the expiration, the token refresh, and token refresh expiration. In Python scripts, the Python JSON library can be used to parse JSON into Python native data structures and serialize data structures back out as JSON. The Python YAML library can be used to convert the data to YAML. The following program uses both modules to parse the above JSON data, extract and print data values, and output a YAML version of the file. It uses the JSON library loads method to parse a string into which the file has been read. It then uses normal Python data references to extract values from the resulting Python data structure. Finally, it uses the YAML library dump function to serialize the Python data back out as YAML to the terminal. Build a script to parse the JSON data. Open the Parse Json file found in lab DevNet source parsing directory. Okay, go to home directory, labs DevNet source parsing. And the file is parse json.py. Open with Visual Studio Code. Okay, for now it's empty. Import the JSON and YAML libraries. Import JSON. Import JSON and import. Okay. Use the Python with a statement to open myfile.json and set it to the variable name JSON file. Okay, and you will parse this file, myfile.json, and open with Visual Studio Code. This is the file. Okay, remember the access token, the expiration, the refresh token, and the expiration. This is the JSON file. Okay, with open the name of the file, myfile.json. Read. Okay, and open the file, only read and assign the content to this variable, JSON underscore file. Okay, and then use JSON load method to load the JSON file into a string set to the variable name our JSON. and use this variable. Okay, and load as a string and assign to this variable our JSON. And print the our JSON. Enter backspace, print our JSON variable. Enter. Run the script. Okay, use 5.3 Parse Json.py. Don't forget to save. Remember the name Parse Json.py. On terminal 5.3 Parse JSON. Enter. Okay, very good. This is the access token, expiration, refresh token, and expiration. Add print statements that display the token value and how many seconds until the token expires. Okay, and print access token is the token expires in seconds. Here, format our JSON variable and this access token. Access underscore token. Copy this here. That expires in. Okay. Save and run your script. Save. Run again. Access token is this. The token expires in this sequence. Output the parsed JSON data in a YAML data format. Add a print statements that will display the 3 dashes required for a YAML file. The 2 and will add 2 lines after the previous output. This symbol is next line. Okay, then add a statement to print our JSON as YAML data by using the dump method of the YAML library. Okay, only add this. Okay, and remember, finally, it uses the YAML library dump function to serialize the Python data back of this YAML to the terminal. Okay, and is this operation. Print another print. Okay, from YAML, use the dump function and dump this variable, our JSON. Enter, okay, and run the script. Save. Run again. And now you can see at the end the 3 lines, 3 dashes, and look at this. Very interesting. The access token, expiration, refresh token, and expiration. Now, and you can see this is a better output than this. But basically, it's the same content of the JSON file. Okay. Parse YAML in Python. The following programs imports the JSON and YAML libraries. Uses PyYAML to parse the YAML file, extract and print data values, and output a JSON version of the file. It uses the YAML library saveload method to parse the file stream and normal Python data references to extract values from the resulting Python data structure. It then uses the JSON library dumps function to serialize the Python data back out as JSON. The YAML example to parse is the same YAML file you output in the part 3. Okay, and this. Build a script to parse the YAML data. Okay, this file, the my file YAML, open with Visual Studio Code. Okay, remember the 3 dashes and the contents. This is the characteristic of YAML file, and it's very good. And open this file, parse YAML.py. This is the file you will parse with. Open parse yaml.py file with Visual Studio Code. No contents for now, but add the modules JSON and YAML. Import JSON, import YAML. Use the file with the statement to open the myfile.yaml and set it to the variable name YAML file. Then use the yaml.saveLoad method to load the YAML file into a string set to the variable name or YAML. Basically, this is the same code as the previous practice, the the previous uh, the previous code. Okay. Um, you can open this file parse json, copy this to parse YAML, but with some differences. The first difference is the file to parse is different. Is this myfile.yaml, myfile.yaml, and read and open as YAML file, and obviously this variable will change YAML. Here is our YAML, and from YAML module use the save load method. Print the statement and run the script. Don't forget to save. And remember, the name is Parse YAML. Parse YAML. Press tab to complete, enter. Okay, and on line 8, okay, I forgot to change this variable, should be or YAML. Okay, and save, execute. Very nice. Access token expires, refresh token expires. Add print statements that displays the token value and how many seconds until the token expires. Okay, very similar to parse JSON, these two prints. Enter and paste. It changed the variables. The variable is this, or YAML. Replace instead of our JSON. Save and run the script. Python 3 parse YAML. Access token is this. The token expires in these seconds. Very good. and output the parsed YAML data in a JSON data format. Add a print statement to add two blank lines after the previous output, is this, and add a statement to print our YAML as JSON data by using the dumps method of the JSON library. Add the indent parameter to prettify the JSON data. Okay, print this, the two blank lines, use JSON dumps indent for. Print print from JSON library dumps this variable, comma, indent for to prettify the output. Save and run the script. Now you can see this is the JSON output. Okay, remember this file, my file.json, and look at this. It's the same, the JSON output. Thank you very much.